subscribe. Tariq Radio. Like and subscribe.
It's interesting, and there's like illusions of culture. See, we got to watch when people start talking about culture to us. We got to stop letting people run the culture game. Like I keep telling people, the culture here, we are the culture. Foundational Black Americans are the culture here. We are the culture. When you talk about culture or lack thereof, who are you going to compare us to? You didn't? Because most people, their culture, if you're especially if you're a non-white person, well, if you're a white person, you have a culture, especially if you're come from a white supremacist background, you got a culture of stealing and imposing yourself on other people's culture. That's one. So your culture is stealing. All right. That's your culture. You don't really create anything. You just go and say, okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. No, you'll give me that. And then move shit around a little bit. Okay, well, we're gonna take this, and I stole that from here, then I'm gonna go take it over here. So y'all have a pawn shop culture, yeah. And a lot of other groups, their culture is colonization. When people talk to us about slavery, yeah, we know we were enslaved, but we survived that. People try to pretend that they were not colonized and they didn't have things imposed on their culture, and they've had their culture remixed and erased. That's why you have people in Central and South America talking about their Spanish, but you ain't really Spanish. You can't go to Spain and get nothing popping. They don't accept you in Spain. You know what I'm saying? So Spain ain't your culture. That's just the people who colonize you. So we got to really, really understand that. Did y'all see the story today in Hawaii? Speaking of culture, Hawaii, they're going to charge a tax to tourists out there because most of the money in Hawaii, and Hawaii is one of my favorite places. I start going to Maui now because Oahu and Waikiki it's too corporate for me now. I used to be in Oahu and Waikiki all the time when they had all the little local shops and local eateries and places like that. It's so corporatized now. It loses its luster for me. It's still beautiful, but I just hate it. Yeah, yeah, I like going to little mom and pop joints. You can do that in Maui. You can do that a lot in Maui. But in Hawaii, what they did, they are trying to get their money up out there. So they got a Hawaiian tax. It's the first in the nation. It's called a climate tax. So it's like a green fee that they're saying. It's the first US state to charge a green fee on tourists. Let me read what it says in USA Today. Hawaii became the first US state to establish a climate impact fee this Tuesday, placing an additional tax on tourists to fund climate change, resiliency projects, and environmental stewardship within the islands. So they're going to raise um, the fee to a few percent. Like the fee, it's kind of real funny style with the numbers. It says the fee will apply to travelers staying at hotels, short-term vacation rentals. That means Airbnb and cruise ships. So cruise ships going to have to cough up some extra dough. So they said for a nightly hotel rate of 300, it'll be an extra $2.25 each night. So Hawaiian, as an island chain, Hawaii cannot wait for the next disaster to hit before they take action. So I guess this is basically in response to that fire that happened out there in Maui. So they're like, okay, we're gonna have to get some extra funds in here. So these new fees, they said they expected to generate $100 million annually. Now, my thing is this: how much are you going to give that to the native people there? That's my thing. I would love to see because the Hawaiian people are actually cool. They're very cool people over there. I would love to see them, yeah, get that. I would like for that to go to them, a big chunk of it. Yeah. I don't want to see the white supremacists. Listen, they've been finessing Hawaii since the damn 1800s. The white supremacists, they've been finessing Hawaii. That's why a lot of things in Hawaii. How many? Raise your hand if you've been to Hawaii. By the way, what's up, brother McCall? I see you, brother. Raise your hand if you've been to Hawaii. Hawaii's beautiful, beautiful spot. I go out there to do a lot of creative projects. I would go out there write my books out there. I go out there to write. I wrote the Mink slide albums out there. Hawaii gives me a lot of good creative energy. A lot of creative energy out there. I love the energy there. But in Hawaii, a lot of the culture there that we see that's stereotypical of Hawaii, it's not really Hawaiian culture. It's not really ancient culture. You know those Hawaiian shirts that the tourists wear, those the shirts with the flowers they call them Hawaiian shirts now. Those are not Hawaiian. Those are not ancient shirts. That shit came from Japan. Those are Japanese Americans. Those aloha shirts, that's a Japanese American creation. That came from them kimono fabrics. And all they did was get them kimono fabrics and make shirts out of them. That's it. That shit came from Japan. That's not Hawaiian. And some of them pigs that they were brought out there later. Um, the luau culture, a lot of that stuff, that's not genuine. All that smiling and grinning and pussy popping, and the dudes be doing that. No, the luau, it was like a warrior type of thing. Like the New Zealanders. It was kind of like what they were doing. Y'all remember when the people in New Zealand they had like some kind of city council meeting, and then they started breaking the meeting up by doing a war chant. Y'all remember that? It scared the shit out the white people. Yeah. It was something. They were trying to do something to the native New Zealanders. They were messing with their land or something, and they were having a city council meeting. And the lady got up and she started chanting, and then a whole bunch of other New Zealanders got up and they started chanting, and boy, it scared the shit out of them white people. She was like, "Well, first of all, I would like to make a comment for the legislation as far as what we're going to do with the land grants." Then everybody else jumped up. They started looking mean and shit. They were scaring the hell out of them white people. Oh my God, they're gonna get us, dude. We're gonna get boiled in a pot. They're gonna eat us. God damn it. They were acting all scared. But yeah, Hawaii, see that's what their luau culture and all of that. That was on some warrior shit. It wasn't them skinning and grinning and all that stuff that they're doing now. Even those grass skirts in Hawaii, they didn't wear that in ancient times. They weren't wearing no damn grass skirts. That came later. That came like the late 1800s. There was another little island called Kiribati that's not too far from Hawaii, and I think they got it from that, the late 19th century, early 20th century. They would wear like certain bark cloths from trees, not no grass skirts. But the grass skirts, that was more exotic to American tourists. They started creating a culture for the American tourist, you see. Even the spirit of aloha, where aloha means hello and goodbye. No, it don't. No, aloha, it was like some kind of divine word. It meant something else. It was like some kind of divine word. It didn't mean hello and goodbye and all that shit. That came later. That's not the history. Yes, again, I'm telling you, a lot of the stuff in their culture came from colonization, came from the white supremacists, and it was to appease their erotic fetishes, and then it became a part of the culture. Even pineapples. When we think of Hawaii, like a Hawaii style pizza is pineapple. Hawaiian food, you think something with a pineapple on it. Pineapples are not native to Hawaii at all. Do y'all know that? Pineapples are not native to no damn Hawaii at all. Pineapples come from South America and the Caribbean. Um, the first dude, it was a Spanish dude who brought pineapples out there. It was a dude, Don Francisco Paula Marin. I think that's his name, Don Francisco de Paula Marin. He was a Spanish dude from Spain, but he was kind of an explorer and he went around the world. He took the pineapples from South America and the Caribbean. He took that out there in the early 1800s. That he took that out there. And there was a family of missionaries, and this is how they did a coup of Hawaii. What was that queen? There was King Kamehameha, and if you look at yeah, King Kapiolani, yeah, there was Queen Kapiolani, and if you look at pictures of them, you go to Hawaii, there's pictures of them. They look damn near like black people. You look at King Kamehameha and Kapiolani and all of them, and they look like goddamn black folks. But there was a illegal coup of Hawaii by some white missionaries. There were some white missionaries, the Dole family, went over there in the early 1800s, came over there with Bibles, like, hey, we're here to speak the blessings of the Lord. And there was a guy named Sam Dole, and he set up here and orchestrated basically an illegal coup. Well, late 1800s. They did the whole missionary thing. Once they got in good with the missionary hustle, they sat there and with the help of the US Marines, they said, okay, Queen of Hawaii, you're going to have to step down and we're going to start slaughtering you. When you see that boat over there, yeah, we got something called guns. And we'll wipe everybody on this island off so you can do it the easy way or the hard way. So the Queen, she stepped down and they said, okay, thank you very much. We'll take over. And then the US annexed it. And that's how it became a US territory. They just bogarted it. Some white missionaries from the Dole family. And then James Dole, I think that's his name, one of the cousins of the Dole family, he said, hey, let's get some pineapples popping up in here. So they had a pineapple plantation up there, and they sell the most canned pineapples in the world. That's Dole pineapples. So when you see Dole pineapples, that's these old demonic ass white supremacists who did a very hostile and illegal takeover. If you go up there, there's the Dole plantation. If you've been to Hawaii, you've been to the Dole plantation up there. And yeah, so we got to understand how certain cultures come from colonization, and people don't want to admit that. Like a lot of our culture came from us responding to the white supremacists and the colonizers, and that's okay. You know, we know what it is. We created the blues in response to these white supremacists giving us the damn blues. We created country music out of railroad work songs because we were working on these damn railroads. So we had to create songs that would kind of motivate us to work on the railroads. That's where country came from. So it's just knowing history is very important. That's all I'm saying. All right. Let's get Fawcett. Let's get Fawcett in the building. Fawcett, hop on in.
You said a couple months back about the African American tangibles. You no longer want to speak in concepts; you want to speak in tangibles.
Right.
Um, I know this is going to sound incredibly outdated, but or maybe it's not.
Go ahead.
Kendrick Lamar talks about like 40 acres and a mule. Other people have talked about 40 acres and a mule, 40 acres this, 40 acres that. Question I have for you is this: is number one 40 acres still applicable today?
Yeah,
And
it has to be
I'm sorry.
adjusted for inflation and all of that. It has to be adjusted. So yeah, um, 40 acres. It could be a land grant. It could be a land grant. Just like our Native Americans, they get land grants, and the mule that would be transportation and also a way to cultivate the land. That's what the mule was for: transportation and a way to cultivate the land so that you can eat and live off the land and
Correct.
off the land.
The main question I have is, would that apply to all FBAs, or would it only apply, well technically that would make sense. Would it apply to all FBAs, or would it apply to any African or anyone of African descent that was in America before 1964?
No,
Be-
no. Only foundational Black Americans. The only
okay. And so now just one other question one question before I ask this next one.
Go ahead.
How many FBAs do you think actually are in, and this is a genuine question, how many FBAs on like the low end do we have?
At least 43 million.
Okay.
Many people think it's almost 50 million, but at least 43 million, at least.
Okay, good. So 43 times 40.
Mhm.
Hold on.
Uh-huh. So looking at
So
start
that
off with if reparations starting off 100, 200 grand per person.
Well, no, the reason why I bring it up is because I've had this question where my question was always, if we were to give the 40 acres and a mule theoretically, would it only be those who have direct ties to plantations, people of color who have been enslaved, which would be probably much lower, or would it be to all African Americans in general, which not all of them were enslaved? Some of them came here on their own volition, or some of them immigrated from other places, and so on and so forth. Now, with your number of 43 million, that would make about 160 million acres of American land now FBA land. That's about the size of Texas. Do we think Texas and a little bit of Oklahoma is an appropriate reparation for FBAs? Texas and Oklahoma?
Well, no, well, here's the thing. In
Okay.
Oklahoma, most of the black founded towns are in Oklahoma. Do you know that?
Correct. I'm talking about the size of the 40 acres times 43 million would be 168 million, somewhere around there, which would be the equivalent of almost the entirety of Texas and a little bit of Oklahoma. So would that be an appropriate, like, is that too little? Is that too much? Is that just
No,
right? Is
uh,
Texas like a good
right.
reconciliation?
No, because we want to go where we want to go instead of just us being packed off in a reservation somewhere. Give us the
Oh
money
no,
and we'll
oh
live.
no, I'm talking just like like 168 million acres, which is equivalent to the size of Texas.
Yeah,
Is that an appropriate?
it-
Like, I'm not saying all go to Texas. I'm saying in generality,
yeah, you're not.
is 168 million like a fair trade-off, dare I say, for the promises that have not been kept?
Yeah. I'm kind of explaining. I don't know why you're not really comprehending. I'm saying that
Go ahead.
just get a check. That'll be better. Right now, it would just be a check. Just give us the check. Give us 100 grand, 200 grand per person, and then we can go get the land, or we get a land grant where we can get some designated land in certain places around the country. We're not going to be all bunched up in Texas. We're not going to be bunched up in Oklahoma. We're not going to do that. It's too
Okay.
many of us. It's too many of us, and we have too many ties around this country. We have footprints all over this country. We didn't just build Texas, just build Oklahoma. We have a footprint in damn near every state in this nation.
Correct.
Yes.
It's like if you bundled all Native American land together, it'd be about the size of like Nevada, I believe, or it was like Nevada or maybe Montana. I forget which one it was. So I just wanted to make sure that 168 million was a good enough, quote unquote, or a good equivalence, or would the FBA's movement would be looking for more like 200 million acres or 220 million? Because again, America's 2 billion acres wide. So giving 10% of the land would not be that hard of a thing to do. So that was just my question. I was just wondering whether or not it was only African Americans or only FBAs, and FBAs answers my questions.
Yeah. This is just foundational Black Americans. And that's who's qualified. That's who had to suffer slavery. So nobody else really had to do it. So
Correct. Some people will be like, "Oh, what about segregation and Jim Crow?" And so that's why I have to ask those qualifying qualifiers just to make sure.
right.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we gotta let everybody know we're not trying to get reparations for racism. No, see, when we talk about reparations for us, everybody wants to try to latch on and just make it for everything. No. We're talking about specifically slavery. Now, segregation and all that, that's another argument. That's another argument. We're talking about those of us who endured slavery. And even during slavery, free black people were susceptible to being kidnapped and thrown into slavery. So yeah, the free blacks who were here during the 16, 17, 1800s, they are foundational Black Americans who are qualified because they still had to live in this oppressive system.
Root work, feel that natural flow. Root work, stay fresh wherever you go. Root work, I like the way it feels. Root work, the magic is so real. Root work, you need it for work or play. Root work keeps me fresh throughout the day.